Hey everybody, welcome back to the stream. We have our losers bracket final ready and raring to go. It's Orgless taking on House Tarth. House Tarth, of course, 2 rounds in a row in the losers bracket, which they had to make through to get to this point. Orgless, they lost to Rams in the winners bracket final. They want that revenge story to be completed, and to do it, they have to go through this House Tarth roster. Of course, officially joining us on the stream, my name is Nfinity, and I'm joined by VisionZz for the final time tonight. It's kind of going to be sad to see you go, Austin, but what a way to go as well. It's the losers bracket final.
Yeah, I can definitely live with it, Brodie. I can live with this one being my last match, at least for EU, and then make my way to NA. But this is a real special one. Both of these squads showing a lot of strength throughout this tournament, and now trying to overcome one another to see who has a chance in a shot at that grand final. But we will see Orgless. They come out on top here for as far as the initial points, and now it's about a break. We'll see Defrag find himself a nice little angle from the middle of the map here, pushes right through cutout. Afro also finds a kill simultaneously, and this is a chance to be able to break on through. Vortex, though, in from behind, tries to set up that pinch, however, only able to bring home one.
Well, it's now House Tarth on this hard point. They, interestingly enough, don't actually have a player all the way back in police. I think they did, but he has now died. Dave able to pick up 2 before falling. Vortex, however, has the last say, and it's now Orgless who is able to find their way into this hill. House Tarth, though, still spawning in the backline, and that's not necessarily a bad thing for this Orgless roster, of course. With 20 seconds left on this hard point, while you don't want to give up that time, and unfortunately they do, it does present an opportunity for this Orgless roster to rotate over towards that fountain hard point. That's exactly what they're going to do, and no surprise there. Although we do have an actual rogue spawn from Nastie. He just spawns out for that scrap.
Yeah, he does spawn in from behind, and now this should be an interesting spawn that ends up coming through here for player 7. It is going to be right by Globe, so everyone pretty much coordinated on this hit where they might be trying to get in towards the back and trying to flip out spawns. No one really on the time right now for the side of Orgless here, as they are trying to be focused on where exactly this hit is coming from. Dave finds himself a kill onto Afro. Dave finds a kill onto Peatie. Almost finds a third with that 1911, all done with the pistol. But it will actually be spawns flipped in towards the back right now for House Tarth as they make their way in towards P3. 30 seconds to fight for, and now they have control.
Good break from House Tarth here coming in. Or rotation, sorry, is now Orgless. They're going to find their way in still. Vortex trying to come through the bar. Unfortunately, is only going to be able to get 1 kill, but it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, at the end of the day, this is scrap time that House Tarth are pulling off here, as now Orgless looking for this rotation towards Nu. A big gunfight there. Gismo, unfortunately, isn't able to take Joshh down before Nastie comes in with the cover kill. So great stuff here from Orgless. But this rotation now coming through. Orgless, they've got players already over there behind this bus. This is a big one-on-one to win if your Vortex unfortunately throws the smoke at the complete wrong time. Afro able to win and now finds himself in this power position inside the bus, able to pick up 1, but nobody on this hill at the moment. But it is going to be House Tarth who have actually managed to storm through and at least disrupt this rotation from Orgless.
Gismo right in the middle of the street here. It will get caught, and that's a big kill there for Vortex. Defrag from the side might be trying to make his way in towards the point, as it's Nastie and Joshh bringing in a couple of one-on-one gunfights. Afro tries to combine for 2, can't bring home the 2-piece, and now it's a bit of a staggered hit coming through for House Tarth as they want to fight for a bit of the scrap time. Don't want it to all go over for free, but Orgless will take the lead. Depending whether or not Vortex can find a couple of kills in the back, it might just be good to secure the scrap time, but it's Dave who actually lines up the last couple of kills. So we will see Orgless at least come away with the hold of the lead here, moving in towards the reset of the hills. But House Tarth, they're back in towards the control and the rotation, and we'll see them at least get this first initial touch, unless Afro loses this gunfight.
It's an important gunfight to win for Afro, and it doesn't even need the gun to win the gunfight. Just chucks down a Semtex, lands right at the feet of Vortex, or the face actually, as he was laying down, and it's a win for Afro there. As now House Tarth starting to soak up some time off the back of this hill. You ideally want a player over towards the globe. Unfortunately, they don't have one right now, and now Defrag needs to play hero. Comes in, picks up 1, a second run in front of him. Unfortunately, does get tagged from behind. Joshh able to finish that gunfight, and now Orgless inside this hard point. They've also got the spawns for Nu as well, and that's going to be at the back of their minds here as you make this rotation from P1 to P2. And House Tarth now going to have to brute force their way through this hard point. The trade's coming through. It's House Tarth who actually come out on top. And while they do break in for the scrap time, still for Orgless, it's not really that big of a problem because they've got those spawns for the next hill.
Orgless very blessed with those spawns coming through for them and not spawning in behind at P3. Can they actually lock things down? They have top police control. Joshh also watching the middle of the map here, as it will be him who picks up the time. Take a look at how this push is about to unfold. Peatie and Defrag through the middle of the map, work themselves through with 1 kill. Now a second. Peatie with a double. Nastie in the back does find one, trying to push through for spawns, and it's Vortex with the 2 kills. Enough to stop this push, but Peatie able to slip on through. But for how long can he stay alive? His teammates not really with him as they start to make this push happen here through the street. They are starting to back him up, but Peatie up top falls. Vortex on this 3 spree, picks up that assault rifle and looks to start to lock and watch over things here as he's continuing this 3-on-4. Almost another one. My God, Vortex is snapping, goes to the sub. Finally, it's Defrag who finds the trade.
Well, not exactly his natural weapon, the Krig 6, of course. Vortex being a sub mostly, but still able to continue that spree before just falling 5. So not bad whatsoever from Vortex. Does enable Orgless now to get the majority time off the back of that hard point. Now, most importantly, though, we see this rotation come in. Last time around, it was House Tarth who couldn't break through. Orgless looking for it. And you see now Afro making his way up. This seems to be a much better push from House Tarth as Afro does pick up 1. Orgless now still looking to hold these spawns. Even if they're not getting time, they know how important these spawns for the library actually are. And there's Nastie picking up the head of 2 as Gismo and Defrag fall victim to him. A great break from Orgless here. They do not want to get that one up to House Tarth, and they do a great job of breaking it earlier on.
That was excellent. I mean, they just took their time. They didn't force anything. They waited for the gunfights to come to them. They're able to find that break one by one, everyone winning those gunfights. And House Tarth caught in that awkward situation where it's, do we hit this one more time? Do we allow the last 30 seconds to go for free? Or do we simply play for the rotation? The answer is to hit it. And well, this might just be the wrong play. They are still spawning, luckily, right by Globe as Afro's the last one up. Also will fall down, and Orgless hold what is essentially just about a full 60 here, more along the lines of 45. And this gives them a nice lead heading in towards what will be our P4 hill.
Does indeed here. House Tarth looking for this rotation towards New. Now, they are behind by about 40 to 50 points, so they need this one to be a good hold. And the last time around, it was House Tarth who actually ruined the rotation of Orgless towards this Boulevard hardpoint. Seems like might be the other way around here as Nastie able to pick up 2 in from behind. Dave recovering from a long spell of being hit, but it is going to be an Orgless break as they stop House Tarth from gaining any time off the back of this Boulevard hardpoint. Afro is trying to say something about it here. Joshh, though, forces the issue with this AK-74U. Dave able to pick up another one, and Vortex provides some support gunfight as well. And this is the Orgless here doing a great job of just making sure that nobody from House Tarth gets anywhere near this hill. Nastie, who has just had an incredible game so far at 22 and 13, continues to do so as Orgless break over that 200-point mark. They are looking good to close out this game.
On the opposite end, no one really having a strong game for House Tarth, at least in map number 1. Defrag really positive with about 1:25 in the hill. It's been great objective time coming through for Defrag, but just has not had that playing power that we typically see from people like Gismo and Peatie and even Afro. All of them having a little bit of a negative game. Now we're seeing Orgless with just about a 50-point lead, looking to maybe even extend that further on P1. Vortex throwing that smoke down. Nate might take him up, and it does, but Gismo fighting for his life inside the point, battling up against this cutout area here against Dave, and Dave is playing his life, not trying to force anything. They want to keep spawns for P2, knowing that they can still win the game heading in towards this second hill. It's just, do you want to give over 30 seconds here? And Afro actually might just decide to press forward. They find a couple of kills, and the spawns will flip here, so this could absolutely be a comeback for House Tarth, pending they can hold the setup heading in towards the next hill.
And even this time is really important time for House Tarth to make sure that Orgless do not get, and that's exactly why you see now Afro forcing the issue. Surely not Afro! Oh my god, some of the last bullets in the magazine is all he needs to take down Vortex there. An important kill though, nonetheless, as once again they just bring down Orgless to 2 points off the back of that scrap time. And House Tarth, they have this rotation. They've got to play it inside police. That's going to be Gismo. Of course, the AR that runs the power positions for this roster. Pete inside this hard point now. You can see through the smokes that are going down. He has a lot on his plate. Again, can he stomach it? Afro picks up 2. Nastie though with the trade. Now Nastie a one-on-one. Make it another one-on-one. Gismo slides on through. Still more damage to be done here for Gismo. You see now House Tarth. They're spawning out the spawns in favor of Orgless here, but they cannot finish it off the back of this hill. We will be seeing a Fountain Hill regardless of what happens.
They're going to keep hitting this. They want to try and make sure 20 seconds does not go over. Orgless would just have enough to close it out off one break, potentially, heading in towards P3. But they do lose those gunfights and spawn in the back. So this is essentially what is A 2v3 right now as one player is soaking up the scrap time, and House Tarth have to go big. Defrag needs to stop this push from the middle of the map, and I don't think he's reading it. He takes some shots and doesn't bring home the kill. Does manage to at least stay alive as he throws his body right on top of the time. Vortex in from behind, looking to clear out the last couple players. Afro will fall. The break is good, and Orgless might have enough in the tank to be able to close out this map here on the hill. But Peatie has other plans as he finds two, but has no support behind him.
This is one more push, just one more pushing from House Tarth. That's what they need to do here. Defrag able to pick up one, look for a second, goes for the jump up. Defrag gets a huge two, but still, more Orgless players in from behind. They're still spawning out the back of Library. This is so huge, and Afro, as he always does, needs to go huge here. He gets one, unfortunately, no more to be found. And Orgless not giving up on this time whatsoever as Joshh and Nastie, they pick up 2 kills between them. House Tarth nowhere near the hard point, and Orgless able to close that one out. Not a 250 to 249 in this one, Austin. 250 to 200 Orgless. They strike first in this series.
They strike first, and I think this one comes down to a lot of these rotations, and you see this start to be a factor, you know, for people like Afro who had some of these, you know, big plays that did taking place. But when it came down to, I feel like P3 more than anything, it felt like this Orgless squad always in position, always set up first, and it was also just the matter of them taking their time, where they're not forcing these engagements, not forcing these gunfights. They're waiting for them to come right into their pre-aim, and a lot of the time they're knocking these down. They're finding those one-on-one gunfights because of the patience game, and then it ended up paying off because they had the spawns in the back. They find the break, and they lock down a good amount of their time from that game number 1 on P3 alone. So big rotations coming through, a little bit slow, and unfortunate spawns, I think, coming in the back when they lose those initial gunfights. And that's what comes down to respawn in this game for us, Brodie, where it's just when you get the first bloods on the rotations while the old hill is active, you're spawning in behind old across the map in Narnia, while the rest of your teammates who are winning those first initial kills in the rotation are getting ready to set up for that new hill. So those first bloods just play such a massive factor, and we saw that happen, you know, in so many of those game-changing hills.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to give a quick shout out to Nastie, who actually had an incredible game. They were unsure what he actually finished on, but he was by far and away the best player on that Orgless lineup there, at least in that matchup. Really well played, but it was a team effort all around, right? I mean, it was just where Orgless needed to break, they were doing it, and it was just really well played from them overall. So, Orgless strike first in this one. We have Search and Destroy up next. I'm unsure what the map is just yet because we don't actually have the map set in front of us. But regardless, right, I mean, we're not going to get to see it on stream. I'm just curious about how this is going to go, right, Austin? I mean, it does depend on the map at the end of the day. But, I mean...
I think checkmate is what Connie's saying.
Okay, checkmate is the map, right? So, honestly, I just don't know how to call this. It comes down to your ARs at the end of the day. And as we've been saying previously, there's not much of a better AR than you can get than Dave.
That's exactly it. And I mean, we saw Nastie at least already on this map for as far as, you know, what he was bringing to the table and how they were able to work the map. They closed that one out 6-3, and they looked extremely hot. I think it was 12, 13 kills that came through there for Nastie. So just coming through with those kind of performances with that sniper rifle is enough to be able to at least carry through for the map win. Now, are you going to be able to replicate that here again going in towards the second map against a team that arguably could be able to contest you a lot heavier, maybe in Search and Destroy, for as far as some of these players that are just so explosive? We saw what Afro's been able to do so far on the day. You know, Gismo also, I think, showing some strength within this game mode as a whole as well here coming in that map too. So a lot of things could be interesting coming in towards checkmate. And I think, again, it's unfortunate we can't show you guys how it's going to unplay because we know how some of the plays ended up coming through here for us so far in Search and Destroy, but it's definitely going to make for an insane matchup. And now even more so, you need this win for the side of House Tarth, because you do not want to go 2-0 down to a team that has been very good at punishing you in the respawns and punishing a lot of teams in the respawns, it feels like, as a whole. Coming away with that map win there in the map number 3, of course, on Control. Just going clutch in these final moments is something we've seen a lot from the squad today. So going in towards the Search and Destroy is a very important and crucial moment that you tie this up here if you are House Tarth.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot let a team like Orgless, which is so weird, by the way. Someone please pick these guys up. Someone pay them a salary so I don't have to call them Orgless anytime soon. But Yeah, I mean, you don't want to let a team like Orgless come out with the momentum. That being said, we've seen sort of how Tarth they've been able to come back from situations like this in the past. Of course, you cast your mind back to last week. They actually came through the winners bracket to the grand final, where of course they ended up facing Singularity, who this week they ended up beating. And in that first best of 5, it was a 3-0 to Singularity. Singularity had their number in every single map. It was really quick from Singularity. Second best of 5, complete flip. I mean, it is a straight 3-0 to House Tarth. So we've seen them be able to bounce back from those kind of situations in the past. Even if their backs are against the wall, I mean, they're not a bad team by any means, as we've well seen.
Exactly.
I mean, they've got Afro for damn sake. He has proven his worth time and time again. And I can't wait to see what this roster is able to produce over the next few weeks. Because, of course, we have the Christmas break coming up soon after the scouting series. So there will be a little bit of time for these guys to just take a moment and relax before getting back into it for the third Challengers Cup in early January. So we'll see how this roster goes. Honestly, over the course of the season, I do actually expect these guys to pretty consistently be getting top 3, top 4 placements. I feel really confident in this House Staff roster.
I mean, they're very good. I think like the best thing about this roster to me is like individually, anyone I think can take over a game, and that's something that not every roster has. Sure, you have a couple players that are able to do that, but I strongly feel like there is really moments where we've already seen today where I think every single individual has had some kind of a massive impact. And when you get a roster together that's that explosive and is able to do these kind of clutch plays that not every single team can do, or matter of fact, not every single player can even do. It makes for a such a strong team that's able to kind of come together in multiple different game modes and be able to ice up. And then that also goes such a long way for as far as your vibes and how things are kind of going through your comms and things like this. And when you come away with those very clutch moments, especially in these very time consuming game 5s that are just back and forth, and you're playing against good teams that you've been scrimming against here for the last couple of weeks and really the last month as a whole since the game has dropped, it makes for those really exciting moments where you can look to build off of that. And I mean, Call of Duty is something that's been a very momentum esport for as long as we can remember, Brodie, where it feels like you're able to grab a round or grab that massive map win where you come back into it and you're able to then take away and steal all the breath from your teammates and kind of just roll with that and run with it. So it's something that absolutely exists here. And yeah, this roster is very, very talented individually. You're combining some veterans here with some young talent, and that to me has always been, I think, one of the best combinations for as far as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the key things. When this roster was very first formed, way back when, I think it was like October, when this roster came out. Could be completely wrong now that I've said that, probably am. In the off season, one of the very first things I said was that this roster it has that sort of that perfect storm, if you will. If you've got the veteran talent in Defrag and in Pete. And, these guys, they haven't had the best season. I think when you take a look at what happened last year when they finished up with Train Hard with that top 8 placement, you combine that with Afro and Gismo, who have proven to be very explosive, volatile players when they need to be. And it can be a real threat. And even for a roster like Orgless, which are at the top of their game pretty much consistently, these are the kind of threats that I think you need to look out for. I mean, we just saw Rams prove exactly that, right? I mean, they've got Nfinity on their roster, which is, I would suggest Nfinity is a really not necessarily young player, but he is new to that 18 plus, the top tier rosters in Spain. So I think, this roster has a lot of potential. We shall see. But on the flip side of that as well, I don't want to sit here and gas House Tarth up too much without saying just how good this Orgless roster actually is. I honestly, it still blows my mind. And again, I know I've said this quite a bit, and I know also that this doesn't just apply to Orgless, it applies to a lot of teams, that how on earth these guys have not even had a look in for CDL rosters is beyond me. And maybe they have, maybe, things have fallen apart at the final stage of negotiations and what have you. We simply don't see that. But in my mind, at least, Dave is not only one of the best ARs in challengers, but I would go as far to say that he could very easily challenge for one of the top spots in the CDL. Nastie, of course, was going to get a spot last year on the Royal Ravens. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. Joshh was coaching for a reason last year. He knows his stuff, and he is also apparently very good at the game. And just to round that out, I think you have Vortex, who, when he has his moments, he has his moments. His sub presence is just. It's insane. And, when you combine the 4 with a roster like this, I'm super excited for what they'll be able to do this season. Because, again, take a look at War last season. They were a super pragmatic team. I think that was one thing that we noticed last season was that, the War that started off the year, while they were dominating online, they didn't transfer that to LAN. And they realized pretty quickly what the problem was, which was the fact that they didn't have the roles down with what the game meta looked like. So they made some changes, and they also adapted to online as well. And throughout all those changes, they ended up with this super roster. So even if this roster doesn't work, and even if they don't get the top placements, say in 2 or 3 months' time, this is not a roster that is not going to change based on what they need. You know, it is a very good team.
Hey, I mean, it really is. Like, I think the argument was certainly made for Team Wars, saying like, all right, like you could absolutely sub these guys in towards the CDL and they would be able to compete and probably do fine, take some map wins, take some series, I think, off of, you know, some of the teams for sure within the CDL. They look fantastic. And I think that was something that grew throughout the year. Like you had said, I mean, it's something to kind of always come back to when you're looking at these teams that are sticking together. I mean, it's always been, I think, a known fact. I mean, you've seen it from, I think, the EU roster or EU United roster that we saw, you know, that stick together for such a long time. Clayster goes over 1,000 days without a win. Is he still going to be able to do it? Does he still have it? They are able to do it eventually after having all that built up chemistry and that trust. That just goes such a long way for a team that's looking to compete at the highest level. When you come down to those intense moments and you can trust in your teammate and know that they're able to come home with that big play, that goes a really long way. When you feel like you're not in that situation, you don't know if your teammates are able to do it, you feel the need to then fill that role on your own, make the heroic play when sometimes that heroic play doesn't need to be made. So I think I'm with you there. When you're sticking together for such a long time and you just build up and you learn the game and you guys have an understanding of how you want to play and you have a style and you make that work, it can just pay off for you in the long run. When we're talking way in towards 2021, we're coming up towards the Challengers finals or whatever it might be, for as far as, you know, the finale within the amateur scene that we have to play for here for ourselves. It's something that just is very undervalued, I feel like, throughout Call of Duty, and we've seen it kind of work throughout the amateur scene before, with GGEA Orange, I want to say, with like Mayhem, Spoof, trying to remember the other two guys. I think it was like Nova and Belief. I think I want to say was that 4-man roster. Like, they stuck together for a year, finally able to break through, you know, beat Envy, able to beat some of the pro teams after sticking together and finding themselves a strong finish. It's absolutely, you know, something that has worked, and that formula, I think, is something that we're going to see a lot more of now that there's a little bit more structure, I think, around the challenger scene.
Yeah, absolutely. We shall see with this season. I do want to take a moment before we get into this one just to say as well, it's not just the players that make these teams work, right? There is a lot behind the scenes that goes on. So I want to give a quick shout out to Roper for this Orgless team, who I believe is still the coach for this side, and Cam Allen here as well. I don't think he's the coach necessarily for this team. I believe he is the analyst for it. You know, there is a lot of work, and this is exactly why we keep Search and Destroy's covered behind the scenes, where you've got these coaches and these analysts essentially saying, this is where you're going wrong. This is where you need to improve. And this gives these kind of teams an edge over the lower level teams, if you will, that don't have these coaches with a ton of experience. So props to them for doing their jobs. It's going to be big. But as we go into the Search and Destroy, folks, remember, no gameplay for this one. So Austin and I will do our best to cover what's going on without telling you what's going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, generic commentary is really kind of the backbone I've been heavily leaning on when it comes to casting these. And 1v3 situation for Defrag, as he has that scope in hand and really trying to see if he can grab himself a kill, but double pushed and will end up falling here. So very first offensive round will end up coming through successfully off the back end of a couple of first picks, and this will be, yeah, right off the rip, we're not going to show some of these best plays, but in some of these 1v1 situations, or as we get in towards less and less players where it's not showing the breakoffs, we'll be showing you them here and there so you have an idea of some of the big highlight plays that are going on.
Well, great start here from Vortex. A big reason why that round number 1 was won for Orgless. 3-0 start. Question about whether or not House Tarth can respond straight away as we, once again, going to see a push through the plane from both sides. He looks to make his way towards the bomb site. Unfortunately, some shots coming in. Doesn't want to play his life just yet, but here we go. The stun comes in. The Semtex to follow up as well. Surely going to follow up on this. Yes, they do. House Tarth, but unfortunately, the kills haven't gone in their favor now. As you see, Pete and Defrag now left up. 2 versus 3 scenario. Vortex trying to put some shots through the wall. Doesn't work out here. Sniper play from Defrag. Looking for these kills.
Waiting on the winning side to find the kill, so we'll be able to get that diffuse off. Orgless just doing what they did earlier on there for us, Brodie, where we saw them have a strong performance on Checkmate, and they had that 6-3 win, already displaying some of that here in map 2.
You guys do get to see this best player. Again, we're going to try and show some of the best players. Of course, we're not going to be revealing any strategies with this. So, 2-0 start. Again, Vortex still hasn't died. 5-0 to kick this one off. See now whether he continue this spree into round number 3, as now they go back to the offense. B seems to be the popular bomb site thus far in this one, but maybe Orgless trying something different here as they make their way towards A. Okay, I think we're back on the stream. Not entirely sure yet. We can't see any gameplay on our end. Apologies for the quick stream drop. It does happen every so often. We do love to see it. But anyway, when we get to see gameplay, we'll find out who was in the lead. Of course, you guys will be able to see who is in the lead. But where we were, Austin, it was a good start for Orgless.
I mean, it was, yeah. They had a couple of hot starts. I think they just have been really good at finding these opening picks. The same thing we saw in that winners final. And this time, it's not necessarily Nastie taking over here with all the sniper picks, but it's just going by gunfights here with the submachine guns inside the plane, just winning a lot of these initial 1v1 battles, creating these man advantages. We've seen the first 2 rounds where it's been these 1v3 situations for House Tarth, and really making it difficult to be able to at least come out here ahead when you're, of course, always battling here from a disadvantage, not having the extra man to be able to push in, bait and switch for you and whatnot. So just doing a great job, I think, of working for these picks. And Orgless, I think, have a really strong idea on how they want to play this map. And so far, we haven't really seen a team that's gone up against them that's been able to kind of fight them off from that.
Yeah, I believe that actually we don't have any gameplay to show. That's why we are currently in the situation of us just talking absolute rubbish. So while Connor may or may not still have his, I don't know if his internet's fine now or not. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, right. So what we'll do, guys, is we will say that we're going to do a quick break. And when we return, we will have map number 3 as well as an update on who won map number 2. God, it's like The Walking Dead Season 6. We'll be back after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the stream. Apologies for that drop during the search and destroy. I mean, I know you couldn't see the score, but hey, you don't get to see gameplay anyway, so what does it matter? If you're joining us on the stream, my name's Nfinity. I'm joined by VisionZz for the final time today, and this could well be the final map as well, because Orgless now 2-0 up in this losers bracket final here, the second Challengers Cup of the season, against House Tarth. The winner of this one goes through to face the Rams. If you're Orgless, it's for revenge. If you're House Tarth, it's, I think, the first time here in this tournament.
Yeah, and this is an interesting spot for Orgless. I mean, they come off of their checkmate search and destroy, which I'm convinced now, Brodie, it's like they got that map unlocked. They know what they're doing, and there's not a whole lot of counter to it, at least so far from these teams. So they're 2-0 up going in towards control, where they come out of what was a super clutch round 5 in that last series. And yeah, they fall short in the round 11 when it comes down to the map number 5. But they have been looking, I think, really strong in the respawn. And when you look at this roster as a whole, I feel like that's when you can really see, okay, these guys are just so incredibly talented just by looking at their names. You combine that together for a team, and they've been really difficult to deal with on these massive moments, these crucial moments, these rotations, these breaks and whatnot. And we saw them have that crazy game round 5 break in that map number 3. So this is now do or die coming through right now for the side of House Tarth. They need to really step it up. We've seen some of the players like Afro, Gismo take off in some of the games, and now they need to do so here coming in towards map number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure what map number 3 actually is. I think it is Moscow. Interesting. So Moscow control for map number 3. We haven't seen a lot of this in the first challenges, or the second Challenge Cup of the season, sorry. What we do know is that both of these teams, very proficient control rosters, right? And I think, you know, as I've already said, this tournament, you can't really call who is a good or a great control roster or any kind of roster so far in any game mode just yet. But we have seen these guys. They know how to play control to kick things off. And I think they're two of the rosters that I've seen so far that are actually able to win offensive rounds. I think that's the key difference. They actually do know what they're doing in terms of their offensive rounds. They know what they need to do to win them, which I think is a cookie that a lot of people haven't been able to crack just yet. So I do not know how this is going to go, right? I mean, Afro was the difference maker in House Tarth's match versus Obtained on Garrison control. But that was a clutch situation, right? If that didn't happen, Obtained would have beaten them out, and we wouldn't have been looking at House Tarth in this matchup. Potentially, I should say, because obviously it was 3-0. So, honestly, I don't know, man. I do not know how to call this. And Moscow control, it's a bit of a weird one, right? Because the globe control point, really easy to take, I would say. It's that fountain one, which is so hard. You essentially need to have a hero play around the back of the library to take it. And that needs to happen pretty much every single time.
It does need to happen every single time. I think we just need feet on our side, Connie, for switching over to game. And yeah, once we get ourselves in towards it here, Brodie, it's going to come down to absolutely that A zone that just feels like it never really can get captured here for us. But now that we can see what's happening, looks to be over control for House Tarth. The frag already pushing out the street side. So Resurgence definitely coming through right now for the House Tarth squad, as they absolutely need it. Joshh is going to try and play his life as he's watching for the pinch, and will be able to find himself Afro as he's playing a bit of defense.
Well, going to be a good start here from Orgless on the defense. Unfortunately for them, though, they have had a player slip from the net in Peatie. Peatie, though, not in the best position to do too much here. This gunfight against Joshh is going to be an important one. Joshh, I think, making the right decision here to just give up that point at least. You've still got Peatie in the backline, though, if you're House Tarth. So not a bad position to find yourself in. Afro watching this mid-map, that's a problem that Orgless need to deal with. And all while this is going on, progress being made over a bit.
Afro, top cutout, good shots, finds Vortex. Key kill to be able to get yourself control of this B zone, but player is in behind. That's going to be Dave. 0-2 start for Dave, and he's trying to wrap in behind from the street to see if he can maybe pick a couple players off from this point. Going to just be playing things very, very slow and not really finding a lot of information. Sees Defrag, and well, that's just going to be a great prone. Trophy is down, so Nate not going to connect, and Dave now kind of stuck with, will he back up, will he go forward? Turns around for the spawn kill, does grab himself one, now needs to find the break on towards Defrag here, and well, they don't exactly know where he is going to be located anymore. Dave saw him prone behind the tree, but isn't even going to go for the challenge here, so they're going to remain contested, and that's going to be good enough for the zone to come through. No one really challenging Defrag here, and now there's going to be an extra minute put up on the clock.
So B point down here. House Tarth doing a great job of moving so far in this game. They have a 6 life advantage over their opposition. Make that 7 here as Defrag does take down Joshh. And I think the pressure really mounting in this one as Defrag again just continues this 5 spree. Only dying once in this game thus far. Every single kill is going the way of House Tarth. Orgless in a bit of an awkward spot at the moment. They need a flawless slew of kills, and they aren't going to find it, but Vortex does get an important one onto Defrag. Untouched at the moment, and if you are Orgless, although you're so far down in lives, I think you've just got to play the clock as much as possible.
You have to. You have to. I mean, only 3 remaining to 12. House Tarth having their way with Orgless, it feels like, so far in map number 3. A big push in towards the back. Peatie will be spotted out. Good shots from Nastie. Joshh takes a little shoulder check and not going to be interested in taking that gunfight. Nade goes out towards the alley. Smoke is down. Push coming through in towards the back, and stopping that clock becoming a factor. 30 seconds left as Nastie trying to land some shots. Gets info on 2 players in the back here. Peatie able to find Vortex. Nastie falls down. This is the chance for the push. Peatie with 2. Offense could come through. Stopping the clock down. 19 seconds left with no respawn.
Afro in behind, and this is what we said, right? This power position for the library. Afro has control of it. Defrag now starting to get these kills, and there it is, right? No lives left for Orgless, and it's that power position once again that it's so hard to work back from. As soon as you lose control of the library, you lose control of the fountain, and exactly what happened here. You see it in your best play, Pete, causing problems in from behind. Really a big reason why this B point was able to go the way it did.
Unbelievable to come through in the very first round. It always feels like it's a slow progression to getting better and better each offense. It's like, okay, they touched the zone. Okay, now they secured the zone, Brodie. They got the first tick on A. It feels like it's always a progression. This time around, it's just right out of the gate. Tarth bringing it to Orgless, and Orgless now going to be on the back foot as they have to try and find themselves an offensive round here to respond. And do not want to go 2-0 down to a team that just came out firing like that. Frag here, really one of the big players, it feels like, in that first round. 9-2 start for him. Joshh now through the middle of the map, looking to find some of these entries. We'll find 2 players on the side of Tarth, and will be trades back and forth. Afro gets the best of those trades as he's able to now get some control here by cutout.
Good start here from Tarth to push Orgless back into their squad. Peatie, actually, ironically enough, is the best player across the board here at the moment at 10-7. Hasn't really had, I think, the best performances in the past few games. Vortex just turns on Afro there. But on the other side of things, you talk about Vortex, right? I mean, normally the player that you expect to go off for Orgless, 4-10 start for him, did not have the best first round. Dave, also 3-8. And those are 2 players that I have noted in the past as really strong players. Not turning up just yet in this game, but maybe this is the start for them as they start to make some progress over towards B. Joshh, a few gunfights to be made inside office. Unfortunately, lands a nade right on the windowsill. It takes him out. Power position to lose 2 here as Tarth now might have a way back in the B. 1 tick of progress made and defrag in this window. This is a play you need to take out. You have Gismo, who unfortunately just dies over on that globe. But defrag, he's the biggest problem here for Orgless.
Yeah, funny enough, that team kill that comes through, it kind of eliminates 1 kill that would go up towards the kill feed if it were to come down to a round 5 in determined kills. But either way, Defrag here just locking things down. This is a really clean defense all around the board. 12 seconds left on this clock, and Joshh does find himself the kill inside of gold, but the attention now needs to be poured on towards B. Nastie has to jump on this point while Gismo's watching over, goes for that challenge, and Dave gets the best of him. So they do stop the clock with 2.6 seconds left here, but they do need to secure the full point so they can add that extra minute. And I think this might just be a complete chalk up for Tarth, and this really is the correct play. You are down in lives here by a bit, so just need to play a bit of defense here by A and only survive for a minute.
1 minute left on the clock here. Lives in favor for Orgless. They can make this work, but you just see the slew of Tarth players cutting the map very, very well. Pete and Gismo win their first fights. Unfortunately, Gismo going to lose that one inside the office. So Orgless now should be able to push in from behind. But again, as we've said previously, the key to this is getting control of the library. Can they do? Oh, that's so unfortunate. Defrag yeets up the Semtex. Joshh receives it. And now Gismo just covering that backline so well. I mean, that was the key to victory for Org. Nameless Whippy Proud. But unfortunately, it's not to be here, as now you're going to have to rely on some hero plays. And maybe they might actually just find him as Vortex picks up 2. Joshh able to pick up 1. And Orgless, they're in the point, Austin. They're not done yet.
They're not done. They are going to have to stay on this zone, so they can't afford to go full down here. And this push needs to start to take place right now for Tarth. First player out, Peatie. He goes down. Dave, oh my God! Dave lines up 3, and Nastie finds the 4th. No respawns remaining, and it doesn't matter. Another offensive round comes through for us, Brodie, in the final seconds, and we are tied 1-1.
Oh my goodness. Well, Dave just lines him up, knocks him down, not a problem at all. That's what you call a strike. There's Orgless. They're able to take an offensive round here in kind, especially off the start that we saw from Tarth. You wouldn't be wrong, really, to be concerned about Orgless, but they waver those concerns relatively quickly. They're able to take the offensive push, and they do get fountains. And now, all square here as we switch sides. It's once again Orgless on the defense. They'll be able to breathe a sigh of relief. Let's see if they can work off the back of this with another round win.
definitely been a flip of the script for us. All offensive rounds so far, seeing if that trend might continue. Dave opens up, finds a kill onto Gismo here from the outer street. Nastie now looking to also get his name thrown around in that kill feed, but won't be able to take that challenge. Gets weakened, and Peatie's name will put him in the kill feed, but not the way he'd like to go. Afro finds Dave, and this will be a very strong attempt in towards B as Afro tries to push up here, find a couple of spawn kills, buying some time. Josh's nade might be good for the kill, but Afro manages to find one before he falls.
How's Tarth right now? Looking to get some progress on B. It is being made. They will definitely get at least a tick here, but luckily for Orgless, I think the big thing is they don't have the power position of that window. That is still in control for Orgless, but as Peatie does pick up one, the trade is made. Nastie going to be responsible for that one. Afro comes in, though. Still progress being made on B. Not 2 ticks just yet. Big kill for Nastie to make. Takes down Gismo. Just one more player left up here inside the point. That's Afro. You've got to take out Peatie in the mid-map, and Nastie is just snapping as he takes out Peatie there. Vortex comes in for the kill. But Tarth, again, just seems to have the last say consistently. Doesn't matter too much, though, as Orgless, they do a great job of wiping away any Tarth presence on B. And now with 30 seconds left, it's a bit of a problematic time for Tarth.
So far, this push really has been stuffed, and they have to deal with Joshh. They do. Afro finds that. Allows them entry. Afro finds a second, actually. No one more in from behind. Good pickup for Defrag. Now this is work for the second tick here on Zone B with about 20 seconds left. It's a double stack. Gismo life challenge out. Finds the easy kill on the Joshh. Nastie grabs the trade as Peatie just looks to sit down, allow his teammates to slay in and around him. And the rest of the side of Orgless now just going to simply play for the exits potentially. Can't imagine they'll want to hit this, but they are posted pretty close towards the middle of the map here. Joshh gets himself in the gunfight, and they will be able to at least hold mid-map. Dave and Joshh win a couple of key kills here, as they're not going to be able to push through just yet.
1 minute now on the clock here for Tarth to make this move. Now, of course, they do have a 1 respawn advantage. I really love this from Joshh, actually. Coming in all the way from behind. I kind of thought maybe he'd sit in a corner, stationary, and wait for this push from Tarth, because now you see this push coming in from behind. It might actually cause more trouble than good for this Orgless roster, but enough time has been wasted here for Joshh to be effective. He picks up 2 huge kills, puts any stop to that first push coming in, and that wastes about 20 seconds of time for Tarth.
Tarth have the man advantage in lives as well, but this is not an easy push from the front. They're deciding not to go all the way around. They want to try to break through the headies. Gismo needed to find this kill on the Nastie and can't. So Joshh and Nastie with a couple of kills will be able to remove the majority of the players from Tarth. Now they're lining up for what will be one good push, and they just lost Peatie. This is not going to be easy to funnel through. Nastie able to land some team shots here with the help of Vortex contesting the zone, but Gismo finds one. Joshh holding L will be able to lock down one, and now Peatie has to slide in for a touch here if they're looking to try and contest this. Nade goes down, is able to slide in, and Defrag opens up with 2. It's not over just yet. A second on the clock, but Nastie and Dave will be able to clean up the remaining players here and hold on for the very first defensive win.
And this time, they do not let that offensive push come through. And again, this best play from Nastie, big reason why it's the one you see on your screen, of course, is he does essentially put a stop to this late push from Tarth. And overall there, I think that was just really well played from Orgless. They knew exactly what they were doing on holding off Tarth in the right areas. And although they did ultimately lose B, they are able to put a stop to it over towards A. So now, here it is, Orgless. They've already won 1 offensive here. Can they do it again? If they do so, they win this series 3-0. They make their way to the grand finals where they face the Spanish side in Rams for a rematch that would just be epic. But Tarth, they are not a roster that's just going to let this match go over. Let's see who takes it as Vortex looks for this first blood. Fortunately, doesn't find it.
Afro, I don't know how he tracks the player, but finds him through the wall. Gets that first blood. Dave retreats a little bit here as he's expecting the push from Eskies. Able to work for the kill and might now try and draw some pressure away from the middle of the map. And this is the right play to do for Dave. But instead of sticking on the zone, instead maybe looking to try and see if he can find some players coming off of their respawns. Just trying to be annoying in the back while his teammates are still unfortunately getting slayed out. They're being spawn trapped. So Dave now forced to sit on zone A as he's now going to be pinched by the last 2 players. Dave finds one, gets traded out here, but actually still alive. I actually read that wrong. My apologies. But now finally does go down and things do start over. But you've already chipped away a lot of time off the clock here for them, Nfinity, and only 30 seconds remaining as Joshh needs to hop and stop this clock.
Yeah, absolutely. See Joshh now getting on this capture zone. If Orgless want to win this game, win this round, this is the time where you pounce onto that B zone and get the capture. They do have to be careful because a player trying to come in from behind on the minimap, that's going to be Peatie in a 1 versus 1 against Nastie. Nastie goes and wins it. And just like that, also, you've seen on the other side of things, you've seen Vortex try and do the exact same thing. Coming in for a flank could be a real problem for Tarth on the defense. He wants to be careful, though. They're hunting him down. Progress being made at B now, though. Tarth, if they want to put a stop to this, they need to kind of do it right now. Gismo does take out Vortex. Here it comes. Here is the cavalry from Tarth. Gismo ended up winning a couple of gunfights, but it's too late. The point has been secured.
Joshh also follows up onto a kill into Gismo, and so does Nastie. So we take a look at the lights, just about 14 to 13, minute 20 on the clock. Last time they were able to just brute force through the front, get library control, and force those spawns out pretty deep. And that's how Orgless were able to secure their very first offensive round. Looking to do so again to close out not only the map of the series, and now Joshh in from behind can't actually finish off that first kill. Just gets the touch, but it doesn't matter because Vortex and Nastie win gunfights. Gismo now worried about where the last player could come from. Everyone falls except for one in the back, and now there's library control. They have pressure on the zone. They are here and ready to see if they can close things out.
This could be it from Orgless. They've got control of the fountain. They don't have library control. And I think that is maybe the one positive for Tarth here, but they have to be careful because there's going to be ARs just L triggering that library. You see it in the kill feed as Dave does take out Afro. Gismo, though, has won the fight against Joshh, has actually won a fight against Vortex as well, but Nastie there for the trade, and now just a sliver of time away. Orgless, they just need to put a stop to this pushing from Peatie, who makes his way onto the point. Dave comes in with the deny, and that is going to be it as Orgless find their way with another 3-0 here. They're going to the grand final.
3